and welcome to Genesis Designs and Modelcraft, and welcome to this short-ish vlog, which is all about me building my new workbench, or rebuilding my workbench at the new house. And the first image here is the start point, and this is a really quite large slab of 1-inch thick plywood, which I acquired from a place I worked probably around 30 years ago, and it has been in use as a bench ever since. And the first steps here were to remove the legs which were already on it. It did need to be shortened to fit the space in the new house. So I had to remove all the legs and structure from the bottom, and I also removed the hardboard. You can see here it has a layer of hardboard glued to it, and that was put there because I used to use this to make radio controlled model aircraft, and the hardboard is a bit easier to press the pins into to hold the pieces of balsa down. Note, ever present coffee. Now you can't really tell here, but I have already shortened the desk at this point and reattached the legs. It's currently upside down on top of the side bench, which you can just see peeping out underneath. And shortly afterwards, with a great deal of grunting and physical effort, it is quite heavy. The desk, there it is, in situ, neatly filling up the little alcove in my room, and obviously also level. And here the side bench has been put back into position. Now I had to completely disassemble the side bench as well, because the shelf underneath it formerly was on the left half of the bench, because the whole thing is a mirror image in fact of what it was at the old house. So that was completely disassembled and then rebuilt back the other way around, and I also deleted the third leg, which would have been in the corner where the two benches meet, because there isn't really enough room for me to work at the bench if that leg is there. The left hand leg of the main bench, I did later remove that and cut out a slot for it to clear the skirting board so that it wasn't at an angle like that. And then I decided it would be a good idea to paint it so it looked a bit nicer. And 2 coats of paint later, here it is, and it does definitely look a lot nicer. I've also added a wooden right angled wooden moulding to the front edge of the bench. This tidies up the cut because this plywood was never cut very neatly. It was a sort of an off cut or a scrap, to be fair. So I've added this lip to it. It neatens up the edge and it will stop things rolling off it. I've also added the backboard. This was also cut down, as you can see, by the half a sticker on the right hand end there, and it's been fitted in a slightly raised position than it was originally, because I'm going to have storage solutions all the way along, so it doesn't need to reach all the way down to the bench. The constant impediment to progress can be seen here in the form of things. So there just is a lot of stuff that still requires unpacking even now, and it's a constant hindrance to getting work done that I'm having to move things to achieve anything. I have to move things out of the way and then put them all back again to do something else. And this is how the bench was looking in between sessions of work. I'm having to store things in, on and around it so that I can do other things. Here you can see the EBMA tablet holder in action with the instructions for the piece of storage that I was building. So that's a neat little circle of life right there, isn't it? Here we are just starting to mess around with layouts. I've got that paint rack just balancing on the right hand side, trying to figure out where I think things want to go. And moving forward again, here we are in the middle of fitting the overhead lockers. These I was delayed a bit waiting for these to arrive, because Every decided that they couldn't leave them, and they also delayed each delivery attempt by 48 hours because they were unexpectedly large and heavy parcels apparently, although they were neither very big nor very heavy when they finally arrived. And here's that installation finalised. So because my walls are, as everyone else's, they're plasterboard and then soft, the lightweight insulating block behind, there's not a lot of structural strength to hang what are fairly large cupboards. There's no studs or anything like that, so I used specific specialised attachments through the cupboards themselves, but then I built a little front frame there out of some 45mm square planed timber, just to sort of to really take the weight, so that all of the weight of the cupboards and everything in them isn't always on those lightweight cinder blocks. It's a new spray booth as it arrived in a large flat box. It doesn't take up a lot of space at all when it's packaged. This is the instruction leaflet. And finally, the area sort of pretty much finalised. It is slightly different, as you'll see in a mo, but definitely getting there at this point. So I've talked about these EBMA shelves and racks and what have you quite a bit. You've seen them on the bench, and I decided to get yet another one. I wish I had a bit more space for more, honestly, because they're very, very good. And I thought to really show that I'd get another and actually build it on camera. It may not be a full unabridged build process because of how long the video will end up being. But first things first, there are no instructions in the box. You have to go to the website as explained on the slip, which you will get in your box. So, to carry that out, here is my tablet, which I'll place back into the tablet holder once I've done this. So I need to find the product that I've got here. So I'll just do a search. And here's my item, the plain rack 3 shelves. I'll have to click that. And you simply go to the document. There are 3 tabs here: description, documentation, reviews. If you go to documentation tab, all that's in there is the instructions, so hit that to do a download. And once it's in, boom, there's your instructions, 3 pages. Okay. Produced with a combination of 3 and 6mm MDF, as such normal DIY woodwork procedures can be applied. The parts are cut by a laser cutter, which results in smoke marks on the surface of the wood. One side will have slight marks and the other will be more pronounced. Some parts are symmetrical and you are therefore able to choose the visual effect you wish. If you wish to remove the smoke marks, then a little fine sanding should do the job. Where glue is required during assembly, use wood glue, brackets, PVA, wiping away excess as you go. The paint racks may be stacked on top of each other or on top of the modular storage units. When stacking them up, it is recommended they're joined together in some manner, and the upper units make use of the screw keyholes to prevent potential toppling forwards. And then there's a very good top tip. Please note that these screw holes have not been tested to hold an unsupported rack to a wall. It is quite thin material, so yeah, if it's not on something, I would recommend using some brackets probably if you're going to fit it directly to a wall. Dry fitting prior to gluing is recommended. You should also use an engineer's square during construction to ensure everything goes together absolutely square. And to be honest, I didn't use a square on any of the ones I built. I just put them together and they're absolutely fine. Alright, so here you go. Instructions are like this. You've got an explanation in words and you've got some nice clear photographs of how it all goes together. Like so. And this is the part in question with the screw holes. It's just 3mm MDF and they're just sort of in there. So that, taking the weight of the whole rack and all the paints on it, was probably insufficient. So I personally would recommend some brackets underneath or to the sides to help take the weight if you are going to connect these directly to a wall. Okay, let's get on with it, shall we? Pop that on the rack specifically bought for the purpose. Okay, parts out. I do like that the packaging is very minimal as well, nice and easy to get rid of. If like me you have a very small cardboard recycling bin. Oh, these have come out of there, how cute. Huh. Right, let's lay these parts out. So for glue, I did not use a good quality PVA because I don't have any to hand. I literally used this kids glue that I found in the cupboard, Hobbycraft clear PVA, and it has worked perfectly well actually on the ones that I built already. Okay. 2 shelves, the base, the top, the sides. So first construction is with the shelves, the intermediate shelves, which is the thin ones. It does explain that these are made from 3mm MDF, and they have a separate little lip. I hope you saw just how hard that was to line up and check fit. Okay, so get my glue going. Next we place the left hand vertical flat on the desk and insert the 2 shelves, noting that gluing is not necessary at this stage. Thus, I have a little piece of sponge here dampened with some water just to clean up after myself as I go with the PVA getting everywhere. Alright, so that was step 2. Place the right hand vertical onto the shelves. Gluing is still not necessary. Here's the right hand vertical. Lining it up from a place where I can't see, always a good idea. There we go, that's in. Insert the frontis piece with the 6mm tabs in to the 6mm base piece. So this is the bottom shelf in effect. The fit of that is so precise that it has to be going in straight to go in there. On the deeper ones I do try to get a little bit of glue on the side at the tabs as well. Was a bit tight, but it's in, no trimming. You can use a bit of damp sponge just to clean the parts as well. Okay, now dry fit lower 6mm horizontal, then take it apart, apply glue and refit. So dry fit, obviously this is the lower end with this slot, vertical slot here. Well, that was difficult. Okay, now apply glue and refit. I'll put glue onto the shelf because it's easier because it's in my hand. Okay. On these thicker parts I also put glue on the surface that goes in as well as on the tab. Okay, there we go, that's in, and it's still quite flexible at the moment. Excess glue removed. Clean the desk. Repeat for the upper 6mm horizontal. That would be this one. Yep, equally difficult. Slotty McSlot face, in you go, just like that. Again, use my little damp sponge, wipe out the excess glue. Now what I have done with all of the ones I've built, at the minute it still sways around a lot, so it could easily dry off square, and it will be firmed up putting these other pieces in. But what I've been doing to hold them together is using some tape across the joins to encourage the parts not to come adrift whilst you're still building it. Right, that's the basic shelf structure already done. Now, lower rear support. We essentially have supports that go into the back, so I'll put this face down on the bench now. This being the bottom shelf here. Just move it like glue out of the way. There we go. And we have the upper support with the holes for hanging, and the lower, I'll put it round the way so you can see the logo from the front. There we go, like that. And I have an extra part. I think that's an accident. Shelf. Shelf. See, I said it was like Lego, didn't I? And once these are glued in or even held in, the amount that this is able to twist is radically reduced when these are added. But belts and braces, by all means, grab a T-square if you have one. I've got this cute little one for modelling, and you can just make sure which this one is. It's a sitting square all by itself without any help. Extra piece that's made its way in. I don't need that, it's not featured in the instructions, so I'll just set that aside and not worry about it. So all I have to do then is glue these pieces into position And I'll be honest, on the other ones I stopped test fitting sort of 2 or 3 pieces in because it just showed itself to be unnecessary. Glue on, part on, bit of tape, hold everything. Next one. That's it. And that's it. 3 plain shelving rack. This video, what, 19 minutes? With explanations and gaps. It will cut down with a touch of editing to be quite a bit less than that, maybe 15 minutes. And all I've used is a damp heart-shaped sponge and some kids glue from Hobbycraft. These are absolutely brilliant. I can't recommend them enough. Heart. And here it is, the finished article. I wanted to sit in my chair and do a Dr. Evil / Brett Green comedy chair turnaround, but my camera tripod is in the garage and it's all too difficult. So this is a bit of phone footage just showing the area. It's not fully complete, and I think it's probably the same for everybody, that these things are always in a state of flux to an extent, and probably some of this might get moved around a little bit until I find a situation where everything fits and it's where I need it to be. The shelf I built on camera, here it is. I've attached it to the wall, so I've rested it on a button. That's taking the weight, and then the fixtures are in at the top, and I've also actually screwed it to this upright to it's not going anywhere. Hang on, little shove, that's not going anywhere. Okay then, so spray booth, I bought a new one, and this is it, and it's quite large. This is about twice the size of my old one. The one I had was one of the standard plastic ones that you can buy off Amazon currently for about £75, which coincidentally is roughly what I paid for it, and I've been using that one for about 13 years, so it's done very well. I certainly have no complaints. But I found as I was well, actually for the weeks leading up to the move, and then when I packed it away, that the plastic had become very brittle due to age, exposure to solvents, exposure to the sun and everything else. So I thought I'll replace it. What better time than when you're setting up the work area again. And whilst I was looking around, I saw this one. Now this is a pack away spray booth, and I have zero interest in the fact that it packs away. It doesn't need to, but it was very cheap. This was £55-ish. I will put a link in the description because I feel like some might be interested in this. And it's made out of flexible material, very similar if not the same material as what is used for photography studio light hoods, lamp hoods. I've put it up, and then I've used a bit of spare. There's been a lot of recycling of scrap furniture going on here. A bit of spare. It's actually from my daughter's desk that used to be in her room. Is it called melamine? It's the chipboard with the plastic on it. I've put that in there just to weigh it down, make it a bit sturdy, stable, whatever. This comes with it. Turntable, much bigger than the last one. I have 2 extractor fans with little filters on them, and it's got a sort of mesh curtain thing that can come down, which I'll probably remove because I don't need it. It also has lights, which my old one did not. Hold on. Boop, there we go. Lights on. And those lights are adjustable. They can go brighter and dimmer, and the light temperature has 3 different settings. I will obviously use it on the bright white sort of daylight setting. And the fans are adjustable. You can turn them up and down as required. and as you can tell, it's actually very quiet. It's quieter than the old one where the single fan was. And the exhaust duct is fabric, which I've attached the old end plate to, and that'll go out of the window when it's in use. Okay, so the setup itself, we've got paintbrushes and things over here. This is a box of stuff that still needs putting away. My new paint, my new model jig / stand, which came from Steve Fuzzy's Ghost Models, a gift from Canada. Again, thank you very much for that. Then this rack is a Hobby Zone of Poland, / ammo branded, I believe it was. Tamiya and guns. Then I'm on to my EBMA. So this is the corner unit, obviously meant for MLP. This one was made for me by a friend. It's got my guns on it. And I've got another one of these ammo Hobby Zones, Tamiya, and EBA Tamiya. Then the EBMA slots, the forward drawer unit, and I'm keeping watch over proceedings there, my miniature self. The tablet holder on top, and then a little drawer unit and oil brushes. The backboard, which has some stickers, and we'll get more. The lamps, there's this one with the glues and things. The lamps they were always angle poise desk lamps. They originally came with large weighted circular bases. I took those off after a time and actually just drilled a hole direct in the desk, and there is one of the holes that was drilled in the desk, and stuck the spigot into the holes. In this instance though, because I'm enclosed on 3 sides, which I never have been before, they were big and taking up a lot of room, so I simply removed the top part of the lamp from its angle poise thing and screwed it directly to my woodwork. It still moves and rotates, so I can still manipulate the light. And I bought a £3 furniture leg from B&Q. I've mounted that to the bottom of my structure, and the camera is mounted on there. And then I've got some overhead units up there, which are full of work in progress and just overspill stuff. Those were, they ended up being about £32.50 each, about £65 for the two. They're not very good quality, but they are very cheap, and I picked them essentially because they were the right size to fit in the space I had available. Okay, yes, and the space we do take up. The desk itself, the original plywood plank here that I've painted grey, is now 145 centimetres across, and it's about 63 centimetres deep, so it's a decent size. And the side bench is a similar depth, but it's nowhere near as long. You know, clearly this is a pretty focused and committed hobby setup, and I really don't expect everybody to be able to prioritise this much space within their home necessarily as a permanent fixture to do this. But for me, this is what I'm all about, and that is why we end up here. And there it is. So to sum up then, here is the bench now in use. You can see my scientist glasses off to the right there, working on this Jagdpanther tank build. So in terms of cost then, the original bench I acquired many years ago. This one came from a friend, just a spare piece of kitchen worktop. So just to reset this up this time, it's really just been a case of buying bits of wood and screws and odds and sods to reassemble everything to fit the space that I now have. So not that expensive, frankly. I would say, including the overhead storage bins and not including the new spray booth, because that's technically tools, I have spent to do this maybe circa £100. So not a massive amount of money, to be fair. I've also saved quite a bit of money throughout the whole process, realistically, by reusing scraps and bits and pieces. You know, old pieces of furniture, your flat pack chipboard specials, when you don't need them anymore or they start to disassemble themselves, which, let's face it, they do, the materials that they're made of can still be used for other things. And I have done a lot of that here. Used fixings, pieces of the chipboard as a piece of an old piece of furniture there being repurposed as a shelf, for example. If I had bought a piece of wood to do that, you know, another 10 or 20 quid just for a silly little shelf. And I also there's another piece of old furniture chipboard being used down here, and this is one of my top tips. So that is 2 pieces of hardboard, the backing from cheap cupboards, sandwiched on some polystyrene, normal white closed cell polystyrene, which was packaging for various things that have been used here, sandwiched together, held together with some kip tape, and the compressor is sitting on it. And the reason for that is that it just helps to insulate the floor from the sound and the vibration of the compressor. Now, my compressor is very quiet, but the vibrations are still there. So, you know, being cognizant of neighbours and indeed other people in the household, I've found in the past when I had louder compressors that sort of sandwich affair really helped. So I always do that now. And the hardboard on the top and on the bottom just stops the compressor from gradually eating its way through the polystyrene, which it will do. So there it is. As I say, a couple of £100, a couple of weeks of effort, a lot of learning about DIY skills has gone on here, but it is now a usable workspace. I have already mentioned it is going to, over time, without a doubt, it's going to evolve as more things get put away and other things get added in. I need to do a full audit of the drawers. There's more space upon the bench now to utilise for bits and pieces, so I'd like to compress things down so that I have less of those under the bench and thus more space for my legs. But there we go. I hope this has been useful. It's a very bitty video, I know, and the video quality and sound quality, etc., isn't going to be up to my normal standards because I've used my phone. But enough of you showed an interest that I thought, whatever, I'll put it up. So hopefully it's of use to some of you and of interest to some of you too. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. I do want to extend, at the risk of plugging, a big thanks to Andy at EBMA. He did give me a discount on these units and I am thoroughly impressed with them, as I think you might have picked up. Another big thanks to my daughter for helping me put these up. There's no way I'd have been able to do that on my own. And again, as usual, extra big thanks to all my channel members, the members and the donators on buymeacoffee.com. Thank you so much for that. It is a massive help when I have to do things like this, and it just helps me keep these videos ticking over for you. Thanks again. Anyway, onwards and upwards. The Advent build is coming up next throughout December. I hope to see some of you. I hope to see you all throughout those builds, and I'd love for some of you to build along if you can. And to that end, there will also be an intro video of that going up this week to give you the heads up on what you need to go buy if you don't have it already, if you wanted to have a crack at doing an Advent build along with me. Enough waffling, stop now. Okay, thank you very much again. And with all of that said, I think it only remains for me to say until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, and Genesis out.